Hello and welcome to this new video. Before starting the video, I want to tell you in brief about all the things that I have made in this board to teach all of you. Okay, as you can see here, I have made half of the world map here in which Europe, Asia, Africa and Australia continents are present, right? I have not made the other half of the world map here because it is not so much needed in this video. And even if it is needed somewhere, then at that place I will show that part of the world map to you from somewhere else and will tell you about them. Okay, as you can see here, I have also made some small icons in the board. For example, here you can see I have made a symbol of a hand and above it there is a symbol of some dollars also, right? Now why I have drawn these symbols here? I have drawn these symbols here because it is telling that Portugal was earning a lot of profit at this time. Okay, just below of this, if you see, I have made an icon of Vasco da Gama with a small ship who reached India from Portugal in 1498. The two people you see here are Englishmen and the icon of the two people you see here can be considered as other European traders who are looking for business. Okay. After this, I have explained the structure of the East India Company at the top, and below that I have told about the royal charter given to the East India Company. Okay. Just on the side of this, I have talked about those areas where the East India Company did not get the right to trade through this royal charter. Okay. Why was the East India Company not given the right to trade in these areas? What were the reasons behind this? I have also explained some of these reasons here. Okay. After this, as you can see here, I have tried to make a sketch of Queen Elizabeth I of England here, and below that some basic information about Queen Elizabeth I is written, right? The person you see on the side is James VI, who was the King of Scotland. Okay? After Queen Elizabeth I, James VI, who was the King of Scotland, became the King of Britain, and in Britain he was given a new name, James I. Okay? Here you can see Queen Elizabeth I of England thinking about something when the British come to meet her with the proposal of the East India Company. Okay, I have made things on this board in such a way so that I can teach you this lecture as best as possible. Hope you all like this video. Do give your opinion in the comment box. So let's start this video. Okay. Hello friends. So as we read in our previous video that how and why European traders wanted to come to India. And in the same sequence, we also saw that in 1498, Vasco da Gama, who was a Portuguese sailor, found the way to reach India by sea. Through this sea route discovered by Vasco da Gama, direct trade route between India and Europe began. After this, all the European traders like Portuguese, Dutch, British, Danish, French and Spanish come to India one after the other, and in this way, colonial rule was gradually established over India. So first of all, let's talk about what is in today's video. In today's video, we will talk about the British, or those whom we call Angrez in Hindi. We will see when the British come to India. Why did they come? How did they come? With whose permission did they come? And from where did they come? Here we will learn about their company. When was their company formed? How was it formed? Why was it formed? And what was the structure of their company? In the upcoming videos, we will also see what were some of their important wars in India and what important acts did the British government implement in India. Also, how and why did these acts start? We will discuss all these topics in detail in a systematic manner and try to know whether these foreigner traders who come by ship come here only to do business or did they have any other purpose. Friends, we will read about the British in detail in the history of modern India because there is a separate chapter in the history of modern India named Arrival of European Traders in India, where we will see where the European traders come to India in the beginning, whom they met, where, when and how they established their factories, how their influence and area kept increasing in India. We will see all this in history, but in today's video, we will take some basic information about the British so that we can know the background of the different acts brought in history by the British government to revive, regulate and control the English East India Company. We have to know what happened in 1772 to 1773 that the British government had to interfere or intervene in the East India Company of the British. Why were they so interested in the East India Company, etc. We will see all these things. So friends, we will try to understand this whole journey in a chronological order so that I can explain this whole story to you in a systematic manner. So friends, let's start this historical background. Before this friends, I have a request for all of you. If you have not subscribed to this channel, then please do subscribe this channel and press the bell icon so that you can get our other videos like this first. Because friends, it takes a lot of hard work to make such videos, and if you do not support those who work hard in the right direction, then whom will you support? So let's start this video without any delay. So first of all, friends, let's talk about why the British came to India. What were the conditions in Europe at that time that were attracting them to India for trade? Were there trade problems in their own country? Why was India so important for them? So friends, this is the story of 15th and 16th century. At this time, there was a trade revolution going on in Europe, and at the same time, the search for new markets for trade was increasing among European traders from many countries of Europe, where they could trade and get maximum profit in trade. At that time, there was a huge demand for spices, silk and other precious metals in Europe, and India was a major center for all these things. After a Portuguese sailor named Vasco da Gama reached India in 1498, the Portuguese started trading with India, due to which they were getting huge profits. Seeing this increasing profit of the Portuguese, traders from other European countries also started getting attracted towards India, and Britain was also included in these European countries, friends, from where the British people came to India from England. Because at this time, along with other European countries, trade and political instability and competition was at its peak in England as well, due to which the traders of England also started looking for new business opportunities. Now, since the British also wanted to come to India, they formed their own company whose name was Governor and Company of Merchants of London Trading into the East Indies, which we call the British or English East India Company. Friends, the East India Company was a private trading company which was formed by the big merchants and industrialists of Britain. This British company had royal permission from the British government. Friends, the establishment of the British East India Company had started in the year 1599, when some English merchants planned to form a company for doing maritime trade. As we all know that any company starts with their investors who invest money in that company. Then below them come the directors who manage that company, right? Then come some high level officers of the company, and under them other small officers like clerks and employees. Okay, this is how a company is formed, friends. Similarly, the structure of East India Company was also the same, friends. First, the people who invested in the company, who were called court of proprietors, used to come. Then the board of directors, who were called the court of directors, used to come. Then big officials like governor general, governor, and after this other officers and employees were included in it. The management of East India Company was in the hand of 24 directors who were elected by the British traders. The company was headquartered in London, and in India it was run by governors and officers. It comprised of merchants, soldiers and officials who gradually acquired administrative power as well. Any information from the junior officials like clerks and other employees of the company first went to the governors, and then from the governors to the governor general, and then all these governors reported to the court of directors, whose total number was 24 in the company. And now these court of directors reported to the court of proprietors, because the court of directors were elected by the court of proprietors. Friends, the court of proprietors used to cast their vote on the policies of the company. Along with controlling the financial matters and trade policies of the company, they also played a role in communication between the British government and the company. They did not have any direct administrative control, but they could influence the board of directors, that is, the court of directors. When the company was in trouble, the British government could intervene through the court of proprietors, because the court of proprietors were wealthy merchants and investors who held shares in the East India Company and had the power to influence major policies of the company. Friends, at that time, whenever a British company had to go to any other country outside Britain to do business, they had to take permission from the king or queen of Britain. Because at that time there was a constitutional monarchy in Britain, meaning things used to happen according to the king or queen of Britain. These people were the government, and these people used to run the government. Okay, Friends, although at this time the power of the parliament was gradually increasing in Britain, but the influence of the king or queen was still very strong. If you talk about today's Britain, friends, now Britain has completely become a constitutional democracy. The king or queen is only a symbolic head, while the government is run by the parliament. Now the government has strict monitoring on business companies, but at that time in Britain, business companies used to get some special right from the government. Friends, the British also got some similar privileges. The British went to Queen Elizabeth I of England with the proposal of their company, where they told Queen Elizabeth I about their company and how the East India Company can earn maximum profit by using the sea route and doing maximum trade with India and the eastern countries. This will also benefit the British government and Britain a lot. They told how and in what way the British government and Britain's economy will benefit from this company. Queen Elizabeth I listened to the British carefully, and on 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth I of England issued a royal charter and gave the East India Company the monopoly of doing trade in India and the eastern countries. Friends, the British East India Company is believed to have been established on 31st December 1600 because on this day Queen Elizabeth I of England granted it a royal charter. However, the process of its establishment started in 1599 when some English merchants planned to form a company to carry out maritime trade. Friends, this monopoly was initially given to the British for 15 years. Charter is a kind of declaration or authority letter which was issued by the King or Queens of England at that time, like a government declaration or permission letter. The British were very happy with this monopoly given in the charter because the British had now got extensive rights to trade in India through this charter. Through this charter, the British could trade in all those countries which are located to the east of Cape of Good Hope and the west of the Strait of Magellan, because there was a provision in the charter that the East India Company could trade only in those countries which were located to the east of Cape of Good Hope and to the west of Strait of Magellan. Friends, Cape of Good Hope is located at the southern tip of Africa, while the Strait of Magellan is located at the southern tip of South America. This region mainly included India, Southeast Asia, China, and other eastern countries. But this charter did not give the British East India Company the right to trade in the countries of the Western Hemisphere, that is America, the Caribbean region, and the Atlantic region, because there were many reasons for this, friends. The first reason was the dominance of Spain and Portugal. At that time, Spain and Portugal had dominance over the global trade routes. Under the Treaty of Tordesillas of 1494 and the Treaty of Zaragoza of 1529, the world was divided into the sphere of influence of Spain and Portugal. The second reason for this was avoiding political and military conflict. England did not want a direct confrontation with Spain and Portugal, so the charter focused only on the eastern trade routes. The third reason for this was the right of other companies on Atlantic trade. England had already given licenses to other companies for trade of the Atlantic Ocean, such as the Virginia Company and the Muscovy Company. The Virginia Company was given the license to establish a colony in America, and the Muscovy Company was given the license to trade with Russia. Since England had already given licenses to other companies for trade in the Atlantic Ocean, the East India Company was not allowed to trade here. The fourth main reason for this was focus and better utilization of resources. England wanted the East India Company to focus mainly on the Indian and Asian markets, where there were immense trade opportunities. Therefore, the East India Company was given exclusive right to trade east of the Cape of Good Hope and the west of Strait of Magellan, allowing it to concentrate its trade in Asia and India without conflict with Spain and Portugal. The meaning of this monopoly given to the East India Company was that as long as the East India Company of England would continue to do business in India and eastern countries, including South Asia, no other English company of England or Britain could come and do business in India and these countries. Only East India Company of Britain had the right over this. Then what happened, friends? The British packed their things and left for India in big ships to trade. However, Later, the British government ended this monopoly with India under the Charter Act of 1813, after which the Indian trade was opened for other British traders as well. Because in the beginning, the East India Company was making a lot of profit from India. Other British traders present in Britain also wanted to come here for business after seeing the profit of the East India Company. Therefore, this monopoly continued only till the Charter Act of 1813. Friends, Elizabeth I was born on 7 September 1533. She was the Queen of England and Ireland. She ruled from 1558 to 1603. After being the Queen for almost 45 years, on 24th March 1603, Queen Elizabeth I died due to illness caused by political and personal sorrows. After her, King James VI of Scotland ascended the England throne in Britain. The British named him James I in England. It means that now Britain was ruled by James I. The East India Company came to India by sea, and about 8 years after getting the charter, on 24th August 1608, the first ship of the East India Company reached Surat port of India for trade. The name of this British ship that reached Surat port was Hector, which was led by Captain William Hawkins. William Hawkins came to India at this time as the first diplomatic representative of the East India Company. That means, on this day, the British East India Company come to India for the first time for the purpose of trade, and from here began the real game of British rule. Friends, since this topic is very big and covering the whole topic in a single video would have made the video very long. That is why I have kept the length of the video in mind this time and have limited it to only 15 minutes. Because making a video takes a lot of effort and people do not watch the entire video on YouTube. There are very few who watch the entire video carefully. We will study further in second part of this video. You will find all the videos related to polity in the Indian polity playlist of this channel. In the next video, we will talk about why the British took so long to come to India after getting the charter. When the British came to India, who ruled India at that time? How did the British succeed in opening their first factory in India? What efforts did they make? Where? With whose permission? And when did they open it? After permanently establishing its first factory, how did the East India Company start expanding its business rapidly in India? Where else did he open his factories? When did the British get monopoly in China and tea trade? We will understand more about these things in upcoming videos, friends. How did you like this video? Please give your opinion in the comments. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon so that you can get more such videos of ours first. Thank you for the watching.